It had been so long since I was a little kid that I've seen Lilo and Stitch. I just rewatched the old movie, the original, yesterday, right before I came to see the new one today. I went to the fan premiere and I felt very out of place because I was surrounded by like major fans that were dressed up and a bunch of little kids, and I was just there in my work clothes. But I was looking forward to this movie because I saw a little bit of the trailer and it looked like they stuck to the source material for the most part. Maybe I just didn't do enough research because I was fairly disappointed a little. Like, yeah, I was disappointed by some of the changes and seemingly unnecessary changes Disney made as usual, like they do these live action movies. I don't know why. I have no problem with wanting to switch some things up to make it, to like a live action movie format and to show that they changed some things up and not just copy and pasted the script. Me personally, I'm all for copy and pasting the script and just looking at the characters in live action. But at the same time, they just removed too much and changed some things just a little too much. But overall, if you want to take your kids to see this movie, it will have the same effect, I believe, as the original for the most part. They make some good changes, but they also make some bad changes. But overall, it has mostly the same feeling, but in live action form. Stitch is really cute. Lilo is really cute. It keeps the same themes, and all of the kids that were in there, even some of the adults, were having a good time with the movie. And I was too on some parts, but it was just throwing me off a little bit with some of the changes they made. And actually, let's go over some of those right now. So they stick to the design of the original characters for the most part, and they looked really good, but they end up changing some of the roles that these characters play in the movie. But the worst decision they made was completely removing Captain Gantu, I believe, the big shark looking dude, the big alien. And I was so disappointed. I came here looking forward to seeing him because, especially in live action, because he was big. To me, as a boy watching Lilo and Stitch, Stitch and Captain Gantu was the most appealing and cool thing in the movie to me. This big alien that's hunting down Stitch, and Stitch was just cool and lovable and funny. And for them to completely remove him was a huge mistake. I know Disney has a budget. I don't know what happened with that, who made that decision, but it was very disappointing to not see him. Another change was to Pleakley and Jumba, I think that's his name. First of all, for Jumba, the evil scientist, they changed his voice. He doesn't have the Russian accent. I was a little disappointed by that, but that's not a big deal. They kept his design. It looked great. And the senator lady, she looked great. Pleakley, he looked great, and he sounds and looks like the original, but they decide to change them to humans. They decide to make them human characters once they arrive on Earth. And that didn't bother me too much because they integrated it well and it allowed them to do certain things in the movie without them standing out too much in the human world. But another change that did bother me was what they did to my boy Cobra Bubbles. They completely took his presence out of the movie. He's not even the social worker anymore. It's just some random lady they pulled out of nowhere that's not even in the final act of the movie. She there was no purpose of her being there. Bubbles wasn't even a social worker in this movie like he's supposed to be. They just completely replaced him. He's a CIA agent full time from the beginning to the end of the movie. Actually, he's barely in the movie, but when he's in there, he's just investigating, trying to catch Stitch. Why they changed that, I don't know. To remove him, his presence, and the feeling he brought to the original movie, just completely remove him from this one. I don't know, man. That was very weird. It's like they removed any reason for any young boys to go see this movie. Just some cool masculine characters that little boys can relate to, and it sucks. And then there's some more little things that I could nitpick and complain that they changed, but it doesn't really matter. Like, for example, Stitch, he eats cake now, but in the original, and it's so fresh in my mind because I just saw it yesterday, but he didn't like cake at all. It's like, did they even watch the original before they made this movie? He threw the cake up in the original movie, but I'm just being picky at that point. And then there's another thing that bothered me, like Nani was supposed to take Lilo to get Stitch, but no, she was completely removed from that situation. And then Lilo just shows up with Stitch, and she's like, "Oh my goodness, that's supposed to be like a special moment between them." But no, instead they actually added an interesting character that made the movie better. And they gave her more of a role. It was actually the neighbor of Lilo and Stitch, the old lady, and she was hilarious. She was the comedic relief, and she was just a cool character. They also gave Nani a little bit more of a purpose. They allowed her to actually have some goals in this movie and made her a little bit more responsible. And that's what I like what they did in this, like some of the things that they did that were good. I guess I'll go into that now. They do a great job enhancing the story of Lilo and Stitch by making their actions more valid for their consequences, giving them more depth. Because this movie is 2 hours and the first one was 1 hour and 28 minutes, they give Lilo and Nina more time together and more time to develop their like backgrounds, the reasons why they do things. You just get more time with the characters, and it actually enhances the movie. Stitch steals the show is every time he's on screen, just like he did in the original movie, but he does it even more in this. Every time Stitch is on screen, I love it. They do a great job showing his chaos and his personality. And actually, what I really liked is that they straight up took some of the lines, recorded lines from the original movie, and put it in this one. And it sounds so good. And it was very nostalgic for him to say those lines, but in live action. And then they added some new stuff. Obviously, they couldn't just use all old lines because it's a new movie, and they added more scenes with Stitch. Once you accept the changes that they make to this movie, so if I could give you any advice, just go into this movie with an open mind. If you are somebody that grew up with it like me, don't expect the same thing. Go into it with an open mind, knowing that things will be changed. And I think this movie will do the job for you. And at the end of the day, go take your kids to see this because they'll have a good time. Maybe you can go see this movie with your girlfriend. I think they'll have a good time as well. But that is all I have to say about this one. Let me know what you guys think about the changes they made to this movie, and I will see you on the next review. Peace.